Now I'm curious because you have more than 2 books. I have 2 books right here.
Yes,
I want to get into the
But if you
details.
ask Alexa, hey Alexa, who is Janine Driver? Well, this Alexa's not up and running. But if you ask Alexa who's Janine Driver, it says, Janine Driver is the author of 5 books. I'm not the author of 5 books, I'm the author of 2, and I wrote body language flashcards called Land Your Man.
I saw that. Okay, so this first one I got right here. Yeah, you can't lie to me.
Yeah.
What's the premise and why should someone get this and how can this help them?
I don't know if you should get this book. I think maybe you should check it out of a library, and I'll give you permission to take pictures of the parts that you like. And the reason I say that is, and most, if they don't have it at the library, tell them, or buy a copy and then give it to the library as a gift. The reason I say that is this book is very dense. It's not for the light of heart. And it's really 5 books in one. And the editor of this book, her name is Heather Jackson. Heather Jackson is the editor. Everything Heather Jackson touches turns to platinum. Do you know Tim Ferriss's books?
Yeah.
So if you ever heard of Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week, his editor is Heather Jackson. If you ever heard of the Atkins, any of the Atkins diets books, right? The editor is Heather Jackson. Heather Jackson has so many New York Times bestsellers. It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, I went with Heather Jackson and got paid less money to do this. This is my first book, You Say More Than You Think, and it's with Random House. It's with Crown, a division of Random House. And incidentally, if you're ever thinking of writing a book, I'm not knocking self-publishing. I think you can make probably a lot of money self-publishing if you're aggressive on selling it.
Yeah.
So for me, the timing was just right. So it was almost a $500,000 in advance I got on that book. Heather Jackson does not mess around. You know, I would put so much content into this. She'd be like, cut it in half, cut it in half. I don't know if you've ever heard this story, and I don't know if this is true or just a fable, about a president of the United States of America, and I forget which one. My mother used to tell this story to me all the time. Name an old president of the United States, like Eisenhower, was he a president?
Yeah.
We'll say it's Eisenhower.
Yeah, he was.
I think it was. Where the speechwriter comes in and writes the speech and says, hey, here's the speech for the president, and the president gives it back the next day and says, hey, it needs to be edited. The speechwriter comes in the next day and says, hey, I edited the speech, Mr. President, here's the speech. The president has it for half a day, hands it back to the speechwriter, it needs to be edited. Takes it again, and it says, all right, here's the speech. I literally can't take one word out of the speech. And the president looks at the speechwriter and says, great, now I'll read it.
Interesting.
Great, now I'll read it. Meaning he never read it at all. Heather Jackson is that kind of an editor, where she's like, that's the book. You can't take one word out. You can't take one word, one sentence, one chapter out, because this is the book that people need to read to decode body language. You say when you think it's a New York Times bestseller, the first body language book to ever become a New York Times bestseller on planet Earth. I'm so incredibly proud of this book. And when I went to go write my second book, I was crazy busy. They gave me a tight deadline. Also a big publisher, HarperCollins, who I love. And my editor was great. The only issue is I am a tough cookie, and I could not push Heather Jackson around for the life of me. I think I could push this editor around a little bit. She was sweet, nice, smart, and I'm like, no, this information has to be in here, this information. And I only had, I think that took 2 years to put together, that took 6 months.